The ring hit the pavement with a faint clink, swallowed by the roar of the crowd. I didn't look back as it skittered across the French Quarter's cobblestones, glinting briefly under a street lamp before vanishing into the chaos of Mardi Gras. My heart, raw and pounding, didn't break, it burned. New Orleans in February was a fever dream of color and sound. But for me, it was the night everything unraveled. My name is Julian Carter, 26, a graphic designer who'd spent the last 3 years believing in forever with Elias Torres, the man who'd just publicly chosen his ex over me. We'd met in a community art gallery in the Marigny, his warm brown eyes locking onto mine over a canvas splattered with blues and golds. He'd said my work reminded him of hope. I thought he was my hope. That was then. Now, I was walking away from the man I'd loved. The ring I'd worn for a year, now a discarded relic. The streets pulsed with revelers, their masks and beads a blur as I pushed through, my breath sharp and my resolve sharper. I wasn't running. I was choosing myself. Elias and I had built something realer, so I thought. We'd moved into a cozy shotgun house in Bywater, spent Sundays cooking gumbo, and dreamed of opening a gallery together. He was 25, a social worker with a laugh that could light up the darkest room. And I was the dreamer who saw our future in every brushstroke. But there was always a shadow, Marcus, his first love, who'd left him years ago but lingered like a ghost. Marcus returned to New Orleans 6 months ago, all charisma and apologies, claiming he'd changed. Elias swore it was over between them, but I saw the way his eyes softened when Marcus called. I ignored it, told myself love meant trust. But tonight, at the Pride Float unveiling, with the whole city watching, Elias stood by Marcus's side, defending him when I confronted them about whispered rumors. "Julian, you're overreacting," he'd said, his voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. Marcus smirked, and I felt the world tilt. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I slipped the ring off my finger, tossed it into the street, and walked away. The crowd parted, their cheers fading into a dull hum. I wasn't just leaving Elias, it was leaving the version of myself who'd begged for scraps of loyalty. The Bywater was quieter, the air thick with jasmine and the distant hum of jazz. I stopped at a corner store, the kind with flickering neon signs and shelves stocked with memories. Miss Clara, the 70-year-old cashier who'd known me since I moved here, raised an eyebrow as I grabbed a soda. "You look like you lost something. Share," she said, her voice warm but sharp. "More like I let something go," I replied, managing a half smile. She didn't pry, just slid a praline across the counter like it was medicine. I took it, grateful for the gesture, and stepped back into the night. My phone buzzed. Elias. Probably, with apologies I didn't want. I silenced it and kept walking, the Mississippi River's edge calling me. The levee was my sanctuary, where I'd go to sketch or think. Tonight, it was where I'd start over. I sat on the grass, the city's lights reflecting on the water, and let the weight of the night settle. I wasn't alone for long. Footsteps crunched behind me, and I turned to see Amara, my best friend, her locks catching the moonlight. At 28, she was a force-trans, black, and unapologetically herself, a poet who ran a queer youth center. "Heard what happened," she said, sitting beside me. "You okay?" "Not yet," I admitted, my voice steady but raw. "But I will be." She nodded, her silence louder than words. Amara had her own scars, family rejection, a past she rarely spoke of, but she carried them like armor. "You threw the ring away," she said. "Not a question. That's a statement." It felt right. I said, "I'm done being second." "Good," she replied, her eyes fierce. "You're worth more than that." The river flowed on, indifferent to my heartbreak. I thought about Marcus, his smug grin, and Elias, whose betrayal cut deeper than I'd ever admit. But I also thought about me, Julian, who'd fought to love himself in a world that didn't always love him back. I was black, gay, and proud, and no one's choice could dim that. Amara pulled out a notebook. Her poet's reflex. Write it down, she said, handing it to me. Your heart's loud tonight. Let it speak. I took the pen, my fingers trembling not from sadness, but from something new resolve. The first words I wrote were, I am enough. The next morning, New Orleans woke with a hangover. The streets littered with beads and regret. I woke with purpose. My apartment felt emptier without Elias's laugh. But I wasn't drowning, I was surfacing. I spent the day at the youth center with Amara, where queer kids from across the city found refuge. The walls were covered in murals I'd painted bright. Bold scenes of chosen family, pride, and resilience. Today, I was teaching a workshop, guiding teens through sketching their stories. One kid, Jamie, a 16-year-old non-binary artist with a shy smile, showed me a drawing of a phoenix. It's me, they said, burning and rising. I nodded, my throat tight. Keep rising, Jamie, I said, seeing myself in their quiet strength. Helping them grounded me, reminded me I was more than my heartbreak. But Elias's shadow lingered. My phone stayed silent, no calls, no texts. Part of me wanted him to fight for me, but the louder part knew he wouldn't. That evening, I met Amara at a dive bar in Treme, where the jukebox played Nina Simone and the air smelled of whiskey and history. She slid me a drink, her eyes scanning me like she was reading a poem. You're different today, she said. Lighter. I'm trying, I admitted. But it's hard not to wonder what I did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, she said firmly. Elias made his choice. You made yours. Own it. I sipped my drink, letting her words sink in. She was right, I'd chosen myself. But the ache was still there, sharp and unyielding. I didn't want to hate Elias, but I hated how small he'd made me feel. The bar door swung open, and there was Marcus, alone. His swagger dimmed. He spotted me and hesitated, then walked over. Amara tensed, but I waved her off. I could handle this. Julian, he started, his voice low. I didn't mean for things to go down like that. Didn't you? I asked, my tone even but cold. Marcus was 27, white, with the kind of charm that disarmed people before they realized it was a weapon. He'd hurt Elias once, and now he'd hurt me. I care about him, Marcus said, like that justified everything. And he cares about me. Then why are you here? Not with him. I shot back. His silence was answer enough. I stood, leaving my drink untouched. Stay out of my life, Marcus. As I walked out, Amara caught up, her grin fierce. That's my boy, she said, slinging an arm around me. We wandered the streets, the city's pulse syncing with mine. I wasn't healed, but I was moving forward. Back home, I pulled out my sketchbook. The lines came fast, angry, jagged strokes at first, then softer, curving into something new. A figure, half in shadow, half in light, standing tall. It was me, or who I was becoming. The next day, I got a text from Elias. Can we talk? My thumb hovered over the reply button, but I didn't respond. Instead, I went to the gallery where we'd met, now hosting a queer art showcase. I'd submitted a piece months ago, a vibrant painting of two hands clasped against a stormy sky. It hung proudly on the wall, and for the first time in days, I felt like I belonged to myself. A woman approached me, Lila, 30, a curator with sharp cheekbones and a warm smile. This yours? She asked, nodding at my painting. It's powerful. Tells a story. Thanks, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. We talked for hours. About art, identity, and the courage it takes to create. She was queer, too. Her presence a quiet reminder that connection didn't have to hurt. As I left the gallery, the city felt alive again. I wasn't over Elias, but I was over waiting for him to choose me. I had my art, my friends, my community. I had myself. Weeks passed, and New Orleans settled into spring, the air heavy with magnolia and possibility. I threw myself into work, designing posters for the youth center and prepping for a solo exhibit Lila had offered me. My nights were spent sketching by the river, each line a step away from Elias. But he didn't stay gone. One humid afternoon, I found him waiting outside the youth center, his eyes red-rimmed. "Julian," he said, his voice breaking. "I messed up." I wanted to walk away, but my feet stayed rooted. "You chose him," I said, the words sharp but honest. "In front of everyone." "I know," he whispered. I panicked. Marcus was safe, familiar, but I don't want safe. I want you. His words hit like a wave, pulling me under. I loved him, God. I still did, but love wasn't enough. "You broke us, Elias," I said. "I can't trust you anymore." He reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I'm sorry," he said, tears falling. "I'll do anything." I shook my head. "Do better for yourself." "I'm doing that for me." Walking away felt like losing him all over again, but it also felt like freedom. Amara was right, I was worth more. The youth center became my anchor, the kids' resilience mirroring my own. Jamie's phoenix hung on the wall now, a reminder of what it meant to rise. Lila became a friend, her quiet strength a contrast to Elias's chaos. We'd meet for coffee, talk about art and life, her laughter easing the ache. She wasn't a rebound, she was a possibility. Proof I could feel again without breaking. One night, at a poetry slam Amara hosted, I read a piece I'd written about the ring, the crowd, the walkaway. The room was silent, then erupted in snaps and cheers. A stranger, a trans woman named Sage, approached me after. "Your words saved me tonight," she said, her eyes shining. I thought I was alone. "You're not," I told her, and meant it. That night, I realized my pain wasn't just mine, it was a bridge to others, a way to heal together. The exhibit was a week away, and I poured everything into it. My paintings were raw, vivid, telling stories of love, loss, and defiance. Lila helped hang them, her presence steady. "You're ready for this," she said, and I believed her. Elias texted again, begging to meet. I agreed, not for him, but for closure. We met at the levee, the river calm under a crescent moon. He looked smaller, haunted. "I lost you," he said, "and I hate myself for it." "You didn't lose me," I said. "I chose me." He nodded, tears falling, and walked away. I stayed by the river, sketching until dawn, the city waking around me. I wasn't whole yet, but I was building something new. The exhibit was electric. The gallery buzzed with queer artists, activists, and locals, my paintings glowing under soft lights. Lila stood by me, her pride palpable. "You did this," she whispered, and I felt a triumph. Amara brought the youth center kids, Jamie beaming as they saw their phoenix on display, a gift I'd made for the center. The night was a blur of praise, laughter, and connection. But one moment stood out. Marcus, slipping in late, alone. He approached, his usual confidence gone. "Your work's incredible," he said, almost shy. "I didn't know you had this in you." "You didn't know me," I replied, not cruelly, just honestly. He nodded and left, and I felt no anger, no pain, just release. After, Lila and I walked through the quarter, the night alive with music. "You're unstoppable," she said, her hand brushing mine. I didn't pull away. We stopped by the river, the same place I'd let Elias go, and talked until sunrise. She wasn't my future, not yet, but she was my present, and that was enough. The next day, I got a call from a gallery in Atlanta, interested in my work. Amara screamed when I told her, already planning a road trip. Life was moving, and I was moving with it. Elias sent one last text. I'm proud of you. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My art, my community, my heart, they were mine. And I was enough. Months later, New Orleans was home again, not a battleground. I'd signed with the Atlanta Gallery, my work reaching new eyes. The youth center was thriving, Jamie now mentoring younger kids. Amara's poetry nights were a city staple, and Lila was a constant friend. Maybe more. Her presence a quiet promise. I walked the levee one evening, sketchbook in hand, the river reflecting a city that had held my heartbreak and my healing. The ring was gone, but I wasn't. I'd thrown away a symbol, not my worth. I thought of Elias, hoping he'd found peace. I thought of Marcus, a footnote now. I thought of Sage, Jamie, Amara, Lila, the family I'd chosen, who'd chosen me. My sketchbook filled with new lines, a horizon, wide and open, with a figure stepping toward it. I was that figure. No regrets. Just a heart learning to love again, starting with myself.